Hello and welcome back. I'm Deirdre and this is episode 17 of the process of moving into my new apartment, having decluttered and packed up and moved out and moved in. It's been great fun so far and it's going to keep on going. I sound like a frog, apologies. That's why there was no video in the middle of the week, but there is one today, but only just. And I've been out walking, so I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to get rid of this bug, but we'll see how I go. So I did actually film some little pieces during the week of the balcony on a sunny day, and today has been a bit of everything. It's actually been gorgeous, but it's also hailed and rained, horizontal rain, and I've grabbed a few, an hour or so in a beautiful bright spot in the middle to walk with a friend, and it's been, so it's been a really nice day, but it's been, sorry, lighting's really bad, and I just have, because I've had this, I haven't been fixing my lights, sorry, so apologies all round for that. But it's all about design today, and I had hoped that maybe I would get out and into a garden shop and actually start videoing some of the plants that I will be using on my balcony, but as I said, today was a bit, it's a bit ordinary, and it was cold, so a good walk was about all I could manage, I'm afraid. But I have done the design, and I'm happy to go through that and show you just what it is that I will be putting in. And well, I'm not 100% sure, because that's the thing, you have to look at plants before you know that they're the right one for the right spot, and that's what it's all about. With a balcony, it's sort of a cross between a rooftop garden and a coastal garden and a gravel garden all at once, because it's very drying. The minute you get up off the ground, you do get more wind, so it's dries more. Also, you can be exposed to more heat, and this one certainly will be in the summer. You also have those issues of being in pots, and pots dry out. The plants can't go down and find the water table and tap the real water that's in the ground. So they are dependent entirely on you for all of their food and water. So there are a lot of things to take into account. Weight in some cases, but that's not going to be an issue here. But on rooftop gardens, weight is a definite issue, and you have to work with lighter materials, even though you may disguise them. I'm sorry, I really sound like a frog. You can disguise them along the way, but if you see big pots on a rooftop, there's a very good chance that they are made of a lightweight material, and they have polystyrene inside them to fill up at least part of it. So there are lots of issues. Having said that, I am treating my balcony as if it is a small plot of ground. I'm treating it exactly the same way that I would treat any garden design, and any that I have designed along the way, and that's how I'm going about it. I'm not thinking of it as a balcony. I'm thinking of it in terms of, well, where do I want shelter from? Where do I want screening? Where will I sit and enjoy this? Where will I see it from most of the time? All of these are the sorts of things, the sight lines, how it's going to work in terms of light in the summer and in the winter. These are all the sorts of things that you take into account in any garden design, and a balcony is no different in that respect. I also like the idea of adding to the environment, and so I'm definitely going to keep the big blue bowl that's out there. I'm going to keep that as a bird bath, and clean it out every day and put some fresh water in it, because in the heat in the summer here, really water is the most important thing for keeping our bird friends alive, and I'm sure that the possums will come down as well and enjoy that in the evening. They haven't started doing it yet, but they might. So I'm going to also aim for flowering and see if I can get staggered flowering of some of the native plants. I will use things like Westringia for a little hedge. I also might put in some olives, and you can keep them, they're sort of like, think of it as a giant bonsai, so that I'll keep them sort of balcony sized, even though they can be very big plants. But if you keep them constricted and you keep them pruned and fed, they will stay small. What else? So I'll aim for nectar feeding things for the bees and all the other insects, especially the native insects that really need the native plants to survive. So many of them, it's not good enough to just see them feeding. You may, in fact, they may not have exactly the right nutrients to allow them to breed. all sorts of really complex issues involved there, so I will try to put out some native plants. I also love the way that grasses work, and so and particularly in the wind, which obviously a balcony is going to get more of, and so I can see using some grasses just to get that lovely flow. And I'll push out and over the edge of the balcony and use the rails to give me that little bit of extra that isn't technically the footprint of the balcony. So now I'll show you the piece that I recorded earlier this week while I still had somewhat of a voice. I still have a voice then, and then suddenly I didn't. And I'll also go on to show you the design process and how I started out and built up the design. So here's the balcony. Just as a matter of interest, there are glass shelves coming in to this so that the plant will be way up here, which will be rather nice, and overlapping into that window quite well. So this is the balcony. Now this is the way I'm normally going to see it, sort of on the diagonal. So that's what I'm going to have to think about when I'm looking at the sorts of plants I'm going to have. There's the other big deal, which is the fact that I will want to block out my view of this, yet I don't want to inhibit the way that the air flows around it. Some of these big pots, that one's actually broken, it fell over the other day, but some of these big pots will go back out onto my entranceway when that's been resealed. All the walkways and entranceways are being resealed at the moment, so they don't need to live out here. I'm going to leave the big orange pot here, and I may even leave that giant bowl there as a bird bath. I have a little table and chairs there that some friends who were not using them have given to me, and it really is quite a small space. It's 3 meters by 1.5 meters, but quite a lot of that is taken up by the AC, and you have to allow airflow out the front and in the sides of that, so it's a wee bit limited. I've also just put a big mirror up here because that reflects, it's a bit dirty, haven't cleaned it, but that now reflects out into the garden as well. There we are, so it's nice views, beautiful trees, blue sky, and that's the other end of it. So that's that looking back inside. I have a couple of those IKEA solar lanterns that I will use a lot of. And this little chair and table is perfect size for me. What am I going to do with this space to make it work? Well, apart from the AC issue, there's this, and this is west, which is going to be blisteringly hot in summer, but I don't really want to lose all those lovely trees out here, which will be soft and green. You can see that one's currently blossoming, so that's rather nice. So what I intend to do is to have a staggered screen that comes down across here and basically follows the roof line, and it will give me some protection in summer and also visually block out. I mean, this little garage is not an issue, it's fine, and I like being able to wave to my neighbour. She's a very lovely lady. So the real issue is really how to get enough plants on here. I'm going to have to utilise the balcony rail and go over the top, and I'm going to have at least one bigger one here that I can use to disguise that less than attractive AC unit. The floor is cement. I looked at having a rug on it, but it just blew everywhere, and so I think that it may just get a light grey coat of pavement paint. And that's what I start with. So come with me, and I've drawn it up to scale, and now I'm going to put some ideas onto it. So this is my to scale drawing that I've done here. It's all very primitive. I put these, this is the AC, this is a bird's eye view looking down on the floor plan. This is to show that I need to keep that blocked out because that's where the airflow comes to. That's the door arc that I have to keep free. That's a sort of a basic little perspective drawing, the way it works at the moment. And this is where I'm up to now. I've drawn in the main elements and the plants and just sorted it a little bit. This is the perspective drawing of the view from inside the apartment out through to the corner of the balcony, and what I'm showing here is sort of roughly what it will look like. Now yeah, it's approximately what it will look like in the end. That's my sort of handmade bamboo screen that I'll do, and I'll probably actually drop it down like that as I come across, so that I'm following the line of the rooftop that I'm trying to block out. Here I may in fact leave the branches a little lower, because that's part of the AC that is particularly unattractive, and I want to block out that. But these little plants will approximately be where they are, and some more over there, and I'll use the similar sorts to give a little bit of continuity, and the same coming along here. I'll use one main sort of ground cover plant and intersperse it with the grasses and perennials to give a little bit of colour, or at least perhaps from white to give some contrast. And that these are trees, as it were, as I say, giant bonsai trees, because they will be kept to the 2 metre height, but will function like a tree. They will give height and structure. And there's the bird bath in at the far end, which will hopefully the birds will be able to sit on this structure and come and hop down and splash around and get cool and have a drink during the heat of the summer. That would be lovely. So here is the plan that I showed you earlier, that I then turned into this one, the sort of more of a perspective drawing. But this one, I just like to talk about what I think that these plants will be. So to start in this corner, this is the big orange pot, and on top of it, as you can sort of see here, is the large blue bowl. That's the water, effectively the water feature, but it's a bird bath. Now these will be the ones that hang over the rail of the balcony. And so that's sort of stolen space, and I'll put into those special sorts of containers. I'll use some grasses and some perennials, and I'll have a look. I haven't quite decided yet. I might use fountain grass, which has a beautiful flowing, it moves beautifully in the air and then has a gorgeous flower. That one I will have to see. Along here I think I'll use Westringia, which is a very hardy coastal plant. In fact, it's called coastal rosemary, and it hedges very well, so it grows well and then you can clip it well. And I've had giant hedges out of this. This, I may not actually put these last ones in, because it is so handy being able to have the little trolley in there with, you know, various gardening implements on it that I can't see from anywhere else. So I may in fact just train these ones to be slightly fatter at this end, but we'll see how that works out. Now behind them I'm going to have what I've sort of crudely drawn here is sort of a bamboo screen that I will make myself, because I want it to be very lightweight and quite see-through, because I'm not aiming to block view of my neighbours. I just want to break the view, and also the wind that's coming in from the west and the southwest, catch that corner, it would knock over anything that's more solid, so the more airflow the better. But what I intend to do is to put the screen down into some planters, some narrow tall planters, and into those I will plant, I think, 2 types of climbers, probably, because I love them, a clematis. I'm not sure which yet, and planting clematis is a really complex issue, but not really. They're very willing and they grow beautifully, but there are 3 different types and they flower at different times of the year, and you have to treat them quite differently. But they like their feet in the cool and their heads in the sun, so if I can keep them cool, they should be okay. And I think I'll intersperse that with a Chinese star jasmine, which is a beautifully perfumed and fast-growing climber that has lovely, delicate white flowers. So that would be really pretty, having the 2 woven together. Down here, not sure what these 2 will be. Maybe lamb's ears, because they're going to get a lot of the wind from the airflow from the AC. This is sort of the AC in here, the compressor part. So I have to be very aware of the cold and warm wind that will be coming off. So I have to treat this part as coastal planting. On top of the AC, I'll do a very lightweight and shallow, and maybe make it out of wood, tray almost, I think of it as, and I'll just plant that fully with succulents, and that would be, you know, just to soften it a little. Now we get to the big things. This is where I'm thinking of putting a bigger tree, you see, and I'm actually thinking maybe 2 or 3 small olives woven together, and filling that space. Not sure. I haven't really thought. I have thought about it a lot, but I haven't made a decision. And perhaps some more of the grasses below, some more lamb's ears, things that are soft. Silver-leaved plants are very good in strong wind areas. Now, will I have a different tree here? I don't know. I can see using something like a dicotyledon coming off this and flowing over the top would be really pretty. I'm not sure. I really am not sure if I want 2 small trees that are, and I know that in theory they will barely be able to be called trees because they'll maximum sort of be about 2 and a bit metres. But I like the style of a tree, you know, by keeping the skirts lifted and the whole plant up high in a bigger pot. You can almost fake a tree if you can get the style of the branches. So that's what I'll be aiming to do, so that this, you know, the little table and chairs can tuck back against it and not take up too much room. They're a bit bigger than it actually shows here, but not a lot. That's pretty close. Now the flooring will be either the scrubbed up concrete, or I'll think about pavement paint and painting it grey, just a very light grey, just to make sure that it looks clean and fresh. Well, I sound worse and worse by the minute, so I will stop all of this and get this edited. And apologies once again, but I really like getting a video up for you, so I hope you don't mind too much that I sound like a frog and look like a wreck. But if you would like to see more of these, don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up along the way if you like them. And I will be back with episode 18 and maybe a trip to the garden shop. Not sure what I'll be doing. I hope that whatever you're doing today, you're having a lovely time, and I will see you soon. Bye.